Now in this video we will talk about the LoRaWAN. So before discussing the LoRaWAN, first let's try to understand what is LoRa. So LoRa is the acronym of long range. So the LoRa is a physical layer or the wireless modulation which is utilized to create a long range communication link. Many legacy wireless systems use frequency shift keying, which is very common in the wireless data communication. So frequency shift keying modulation is being utilized as the physical layer because it is very efficient modulation technique for achieving low power. While LoRa is based on Schritt spread spectrum modulation, that is CSS, which maintains the same low power characteristic as FSK modulation, but it significantly increases the communication range. CSS is popular in military and space communication due to long communication distances and robustness to interference. LoRa is the first low-cost implementation of CSS for the commercial uses. Now, before going into the LoRaWAN, let's first understand what are the important factors in low power wide area network, because LoRaWAN also falls under LPWAN basket. So the important factors in LPWAN are the network architecture, how we design the network based on the communication technology, then the communication range, because if we have large communication range, then the less hopping is required. Battery lifetime is the major challenge in low power wide area network because we design the system to last for longer duration so that it can be deployed in those areas where energy is the constraint. Robustness to interference, since the devices are deployed in the field, there should be very less interference. Network capacity, that means how many nodes you can connect to the network. So ideally the network capacity should be very large so that the large number of devices can be connected to the network. Network security is another factor which has to be added in the low power wide area network. It can have either one-way or two-way communication depending upon the application, and it has the variety of applications served. So now let's talk about the LoRaWAN. LoRaWAN defines the communication protocol and the system architecture for the network, while LoRa, which we just discussed, is a physical layer which enables long-range communication link, and LoRaWAN is the protocol which is built on top of the LoRa physical layer. So if you see here, the physical layer is the LoRa modulation which works on the ISM bands such as 686, 433, 915, 430, that is depending upon the geography in which the LoRa modulation is being utilized. LoRaWAN protocol and the network architecture determines the variety of applications served by the network, battery lifetime of a node, network capacity, quality of service, and security. Now let's see what is the LoRaWAN network. So LoRaWAN network is a long range star architecture for preserving battery lifetime when the long range connectivity can be achieved. Here the network nodes are not associated with a specific gateway. So it means nodes are not bound to send data on a specific gateway. Rather than it can transmit data to multiple gateways at a time. So each gateway will forward then the data to the network server via any backhaul technique like cellular, Ethernet, satellite or Wi-Fi. So whatever is the available communication technique, the gateway will forward data to the network server. Network server will now receive data from all the gateways. Since the node is sending data to multiple gateways, there will be a lot of data redundancy at the network server level. So the network server has to filter out the redundant received packets and perform security check and schedule the acknowledgements for the nodes. So the important point to consider here is that if the node is mobile or moving, there is no handover needed from gateway to gateway, because here you are sending data to multiple gateways at a time, which makes LoRaWAN as a strong candidate for IoT application. The battery. So in case of LoRaWAN, the battery energy is a constraint. So therefore, in a mesh network or with synchronous network such as cellular, the nodes frequently have to wake up to synchronize with the network and check for the messages. So in this case also, we make sure that the nodes sleep as much as possible, and they will wake up only when they have to synchronize with the network or they want to receive the message. This synchronization consumes significant energy and is the number one driver for battery lifetime reduction. The nodes in the LoRaWAN network are asynchronous and communicate when they have data ready to send. So whether it is event driven or it is a scheduled data communication. So this type of protocol is typically referred to as Aloha method. So this is 3 to 5 times energy efficient when compared with other connected technology options. Now let's see the LoRaWAN and devices. So in LoRaWAN we use 3 classes of end devices. In class A end device, each end device uplink transmission is followed by 2 short downlink receive windows. In case of class B, in addition to class A random receive windows, class B devices open extra receive window at a scheduled time for receiving the data. In class C, the end devices will have almost continuously open receive windows. The only receiving window will close when the data is being transmitted from the class C. So if you see, in case of class A, the battery lifetime is very high, but we will have high communication latency, because here we have very short data receiving windows to save the battery life. In case of B, it is ranging between A and C, because we have extra window of data reception. So the battery life is relatively less, but latency is also reduced. Since class C devices are generally the having almost continuous data reception, the battery life is very less. So in that scenario, generally the class C end devices are powered devices so that they can continuously receive the data from the field. Now, if you compare LoRaWAN and ZigBee, the frequency bands in LoRaWAN are ranging between 863 to 870 megahertz, or 900 to 928 megahertz, or 779 to 787 megahertz. So typically the ISM bands with less than 1 gigahertz are being utilized in LoRaWAN. In case of ZigBee, we can use the 865, 868, 915 megahertz as well as 2.4 gigahertz bands for data communication. The coverage, in case of LoRaWAN, the data can communicate between 2 to 5 kilometer in urban and around 15 km in suburban areas, while Zigbee is communicating up to 100 meters in clear line of sight condition. So as far as power consumption is concerned, LoRaWAN has lower power consumptions when you compare with the Zigbee. Modulation technique, LoRa utilizes CSS modulation technique primarily, while in case of Zigbee it utilizes BPSK, OQPSK modulation technique, and also utilizes DSSS technique as we discussed in case of Zigbee earlier. Data rate, the LoRaWAN data rate is very low, from 0.3 to 22 kbps, and it can go up to 100 kbps if you are using GFSK technique. While in case of Zigbee, it depends upon the channel. For 2.4 GHz, you can go up to 250 kbps. Network architecture, here the network architecture is entirely proprietary because it is based on LoRa gateway, and servers and end devices are also specific to the LoRa technologies. Here it is very difficult to share data to the non-LoRa devices. While in case of Zigbee, it consists of coordinator, routers and end devices. Here the data between Zigbee to Zigbee is easily communicable, while the data from LoRa to Zigbee is not possible. Applications, the LoRaWAN used in the wide area network data communication, but it is not ideal for real-time applications as it has the data latency. While Zigbee is used for low-rate wireless personal area network, means it is mainly for the personal area network, not for wide area network, while the LoRaWAN can be used for wide area network. Standard, who is maintaining the LoRaWAN standard, it is IEEE 802.15.4G and the LoRa Alliance, while in case of Zigbee it is being taken care by 802.15.4 IEEE group and the Zigbee Alliance. Now let's see what is machine-to-machine communication and how it is different from Internet of Things. So basically, whatever we have discussed till now in relation to the communication network and communication protocols, these are being utilized in machine-to-machine communication also, but there is a thin difference between M2M and the IoT. So let's try to understand the M2M first, and then we will see the difference between M2M and IoT. So M2M is the networking of machines for the purpose of remote monitoring and control and the data exchange. Here machine to machine communication, not necessarily to be over the internet. You can have direct data communication between machine to machine. So that's why machine to machine communication is generally point to point communication. It can use proprietary communication technologies because the data is being communicated between one machine to other machine. Here the direct communication between devices using communication channel happens without human intervention. Machine to machine communication can include industrial instrumentation or the sensor data communication with the application software. Machine to machine communication can utilize the various communication protocols which we have discussed previously, such as Zigbee, Bluetooth, PLC, 6LoWPAN, or maybe the IEEE 802.15.4. So machine to machine communication is mainly for the communication between two machines without having internet connectivity as a requirement. So let's try to understand how machine to machine communication is different from Internet of Things. So first let's talk about the philosophy. Machine to machine communication is the concept where two or more machines can communicate with each other and carry out certain functions without human intervention. While in case of IoT, it is a network of connected devices via internet mainly, where the devices have the capability to collect and transfer data over a network automatically without human intervention. So from philosophy wise, the IoT can share data over a large network, while in case of machine to machine communication, it generally happens with limited number of machines at a time. So connection type here is point to point, while in case of IoT, it can be through network and it can be shared with lot of devices at a time. The communication protocol, generally we use proprietary protocols for machine to machine communication. In case of IoT, we can use the standard internet protocol for data communication. Sharing of the data, in case of M2M, data collected is not shared with other applications directly, where in case of IoT, the data can be shared directly with the applications such as weather forecast or social media, because it is internet enabled. Device dependency, here the devices usually don't rely over the internet connection, while here we have to rely over internet for the data communication. Here in case of M2M, the devices are less scalable when we compare with IoT. In case of IoT, it is more scalable because we generally utilize cloud-based architecture for the large size of devices to be communicating over the network. Open APIs are not supported in case of machine-to-machine communication, while in case of IoT, we use standard open source application programming interfaces for the data communication. So in this way, the IoT has more reach when you compare with M2M.